Hello, everybody. This is BJ from Basketball Society here, and the day has come. NBA Finals Game 3. Cavaliers looking to avoid going down 0-3, looking to climb back into the series. LeBron James looking for an ounce of help from anybody. So we're going to break this thing down for y'all. Tip off about an hour away. We got Kyle in the house.
What's up, everybody?
We got my man Justin in the house.
What's good? What's good? What's good?
And we got my man Felix in the house. You see him rocking the LeBron.
The backwards too, man.
Yeah, you know.
Got the backwards 2004 jersey style going back to middle school.
You already know.
Yeah, man.
So, fellas, let's hop right into this thing. Obviously, we understand what is at stake for the Cavs. They have to. This is a must-win game. This is the definition of must-win. Last year, obviously, we know the position that they were in. They were down 3-1. They don't want to go down 3-0. I mean, the odds aren't good when that happens. So, obviously, they have to come out with a lot of energy tonight. They have to get their role guys going. We want to see some Kyrie Irving bravado. We want to see Kevin Love bully on the boards and in the paint. Who do you guys think? Oh, I guess it's a two-headed question. Who do you guys think is going to step up for Cleveland, and who do you guys think has to step up for Cleveland to win this game?
Go ahead,
Yeah, I'll start off. I'll say I think Kyrie will step up. I mean, as much as we can say, this is not like last year. The Warriors are not the same team as last year. They've added Kevin Durant, but when you look at it, I mean, they got blown out first two games of this series. They got killed last year, first two games. And going home, man, there's just a different feeling. You know what I'm saying? I think Kyrie is going to put on a show. It's definitely going to be at least a 25-plus point effort. But I think who has to step up is Tristan Thompson. I mean, this dude was averaging 10 boards a game in the finals last year, and he's had 8 total in games 1 and 2. Now, it seems to me that the Warriors have basically just ran him off the court. The pace is just too fast. He's getting just too taken advantage of down low in the post, so he can't even stay on the court. He's only playing about 20 minutes a game. So I think he has to step up, but I think Kyrie will step up.
I'll say I think I'm going to agree with Felix on that Kyrie will step up. I think he's statistically just been better at home throughout the playoffs, and I mean, it just seemed like he wasn't able to get into a rhythm because of he didn't have enough time to really play his game in a sense and create those isolation type of situations. But I think a player that will step up that has to step up is J.R. Smith, because he's only had, I think, 1 bucket this far, and for a guy of his caliber, even though he's more of a role player on this team, to only have 1 bucket, the Cavaliers need everything to fall their way when it comes to winning these games. It's going to seem, because they're losing by 20 plus each game, and I think the fact that they have not able to get the role players, going as thus far. So if they get the role players going like a J.R. Smith, that's going to be what they need to, I think, win this third game.
I think Tristan Thompson will step up. He's averaged, a double-double in each of the last 2 finals. And, he knows that he hasn't played up to standard. And I said it before the series started that the Cavs have to force the Warriors out of playing with their small ball lineup. You can't allow them to have that Steph, Clay, Dre, KD, and Andre Iguodala lineup. You can't guard that, and all 5 of those guys can hit the 3. So they need to see less of that and more of JaVale McGee and Zaza Pachulia. So in order to do that, they're going to have to dominate inside. Tristan Thompson's going to have to return to form, so that they have to get those bigger guys out there. And, as far as who has to step up, it can't just be one person, honestly, because they're just so outclassed right now. Their entire bench has to step up. Where's Kyle Korver been? He's been hot and cold. Darren Williams and Richard Jefferson, to me, look like they don't even belong in the league anymore. They just they just look completely outmatched and outclassed, and that's honestly where the Cavs are losing this series at.
I definitely agree with all of you guys. I saw something the other day. I think it was Brent Barry on NBA TV. He said the number of contested rebounds Tristan Thompson had in comparison to last year's finals to this year. And so far in this year's finals, he only has 2. And, the Warriors are doing a good job of keeping them off the boards and throwing multiple bodies at him. But, I mean, this is a guy that's lauded as probably the best offensive rebounder, or one of them in the NBA. So, 2, 3 bodies getting thrown at him really shouldn't matter when we've seen him dominate 2 or 3 guys on the glass before. I really think he has to get himself going. And in a lot of situations out of the pick and roll, he's been kind of indecisive and unsure. He has to be sharp and he has to be really, really quick, because if you're not against these Warriors, they're too good, too athletic, and too cohesive defensively to lag for a second. That 1 second lag allows them to recover and kind of recalibrate their defense. And you've seen what it's done to Cleveland thus far. In terms of who I think needs to step up, I would agree with you guys. Tristan. Who do I think is going to step up? I'm expecting big outings from that Cleveland starting backcourt tonight. I think Kyrie Irving really comes out with a focused effort, looks to score the ball, comes out the aggressor. And I just see not only J.R. Smith, but all the Cavaliers' role guys, RJ and Channing Frye and Kyle Korver. I see them coming out and knocking down the looks that they got in the first couple of games. Now, you look, in the NBA Finals, every possession matters. And the case in point, game 1, I think it was Kyle Korver took a wide open 3 before halftime, and he missed. And I believe if he hit that 3, it would have cut the lead to about 3 or 2. And instead, they go into the locker room with a much bigger deficit. Golden State opens it up in the third quarter, and bam, the rest is history. So I think Cleveland's role players are going to shoot the ball better. I think they're going to come out hot. I expect Golden State to weather the storm, keep this one close, and have this game be the most competitive of the series.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, there were 8 players on the Cavaliers coming into this that were shooting 50% from 3 for the playoffs so far. We just haven't seen that so far. And, they're going to be at home, so I think it's going to be more competitive. I just feel like, I don't know, we'll get into predictions and stuff later on, so I'll hold off.
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback off of what you guys saying, I mean, I've seen tons of tweets and memes and, statuses on Facebook, and it's like, well, the Warriors haven't even played their best. And I'm like, are you kidding me? The Cavs have played nowhere near their best. So, I think that home court, that crowd energy will definitely give them a boost, and we should expect the show tonight. It'll definitely be closer than games 1 and 2.
So let me ask you guys this. Golden State, they clean up these turnover problems, the ones that they had in game 2. Let's say they cut it down to, 12 or 11. You think if Golden State holds on to the ball basically tonight, do you think they blow out Cleveland? Or do you think, regardless of what the circumstance is, this game is guaranteed to be a close one?
I think it's going to be close no matter what. I do think the turnover margin will play into it, though. It's a matter of, it's weird though, because we saw with the Warriors last game, I think they had like 20 turnovers and still were able to win by 20. This team's this is a different animal. So I mean, if they're able to reduce their own turnovers, it's gonna be tough for the Cavaliers, but I think it'll still be close. But that's where the Warriors would still pull away in the end. But I think Cleveland's got to really step up from beyond the arc tonight. They got to really get hot, and that's what helped them kind of get to this point. Is, remember, we saw them just get very hot against the Celtics at some points, and that's what that. If that's the team that we are able to see, then the team that beat that night against the Celtics where they won by 40 something. Honestly, think that team could beat the Warriors at home. That type of basketball, but I don't know if that'll be able to be played against the Warriors. That's the type of thing they seem to trap you into their own game.
That's a good point, Kyle. I like that. I think Golden State is gonna take care of the ball a lot better tonight. I'm really, I'm trying to envision what I'm expecting from them tonight. I'm kind of having a hard time doing so. I mean, I don't know if they're going to come out and really look to have a balanced attack and kind of jab you from all areas of the court with Clay and Curry and Durant. Are they really going to kind of put the load on Curry and Durant and say, listen, you guys have been magnificent so far in this series. There's going to be a lot of energy in this building. We're going to need you guys to hold us down as we take that initial punch from Cleveland and really, really get the ball rolling for us. So I'm interested to see what type of approach the Warriors take tonight, especially because Steve Kerr after Game 2 said if we play the same game that we played tonight in Game 3, we lose. But, I mean, with the way Curry and Durant both played, that's tough, man, seeing them lose. You know, you're trying to picture them losing when your two best players play like that is tough. So I'm interested to see what type of approach Golden State takes in this game tonight.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they definitely will rely on Curry and Durant. Obviously, you know, Draymond's he's the playmaker, but he's not necessarily a scorer. You know, Klay Thompson gets found in transition. You know, he could coming off screens, but he's not necessarily creating his own shots. So I think that definitely like translates on the road where KD and Steph as the main ball handlers, the main playmakers, the main shot makers. They're going to have to take matters into their own hand to kind of weather that storm. That's on the offensive side. On the defensive side, I don't think nothing has changed. Look at what they're doing, right? With Boston, we've seen Cleveland basically play their best, hitting threes on all cylinders, putting up 130-plus points. But who have the Warriors had to double this entire series? They're not doubling LeBron. They're not doubling Kyrie. They're not doubling Kevin Love. So if you're not doubling LeBron and you're just allowing him to get to the basket and you're staying home on the shooters, a lot of those shots that the Cleveland saw last round, they won't even get to see this round. So it's up to Cleveland to force the issue, make them either double or make them really have to help, and it's not just a hedge where they can recover. If they can do that, then they'll be able to find the shooters, and then that's the ball game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just think, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't think they have to change anything at all. We've seen this Golden State Warriors team for the last 2 and now 3 years. They're going to be shooting a lot of threes. They have a free flow offense that's free from ego, which is very important and rare in the NBA. They don't, it doesn't get locked into anybody's hand. They have, 4 and 5 guys who can score the basketball, who can give you 20 to 25 points in any game. And that's what makes them so tough. They have no ego on offense or defense. On defense, Kevin Durant is showing what an underrated defender he's been for his entire career. And that's really just the main difference. These guys are just going out and playing good basketball and having a lot of fun doing it. So I think, and I don't care what Steve Kerr said, these guys play those media games. Remember, Ty Lue said that the Boston Celtics offense was harder to cover than the Warriors. And we know what nonsense that was. So at the end of the day, the Warriors are going to come out. They're going to give us the same medicine they've been giving us. We're going to see a very aggressive Kevin Durant because he's out for vindication right now. I think that's clear for everybody to see. So led by Kevin Durant, his aggressiveness, we're going to see guys shooting the three all around him. And, to me, it's going to be Warriors going away again. I'm sorry.
Justin, I'm real glad you mentioned, aggression, because one thing I've noticed in these finals is the toughness of Golden State. And when I say that, I don't mean beat you up, physical, dirty, nasty. What I mean by toughness is that they seem so determined, like losing is just not an option. Like there's no other option but to win this championship. And they seem so much mentally tougher. And obviously blowing a 3-1 lead off the heels of a 73-win season, with the first unanimous MVP in league history, that'll do that to you. But I see people saying, oh, where is this KD, talking trash and flexing. KD has always said he's tired of being second. He's tired of being humble. And he has that hunger too, because obviously the slander for him has been intolerable. The guy deleted his Instagram account, so that goes to show you right there. But he also blew a 3-1 lead. He's eager for redemption from 2012, redemption from the years that they were eliminated early in the playoffs because of injuries. There's just a toughness to this Golden State team. And the crazy thing is I'm seeing it mostly from Curry and Durant. And usually you see it from who? Draymond Green. Draymond hasn't really said much. There hasn't been much Draymond theatrics in this series. You see that flexing in the, all of this. You're seeing that from Curry. You're seeing that from Durant. And I love their toughness. And that's a huge reason as to why before the series, people were saying, oh, Kyrie is guaranteed to win his matchup with Stephen Curry. He's going to dominate him. And I said, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I think Steph was kind of taken aback last year about the matchup with Kyrie. I think this year he was much more prepared physically and mentally, and we're seeing that so far in this series.
Absolutely. I think, there's just something that, things being taken away from you along the way does too. Like, the first year they won, they had to hear how the Cavaliers were injured and they didn't have their loaded roster. And then last year, everybody was happy when they lost, even though they didn't have, 100% health and all of their guys in store. And then this year, think about it individually. Steph Curry's a two-time MVP, but he's been disrespected in the media. People saying, he's soft. And again, like you mentioned, people, were all predicting that Kyrie was better than Steph Curry. He was going to outplay Steph Curry. Kevin Durant had to hear, basically the whole entire time he had to go from, well, he can't get it done when he was in OKC to now, well, he jumped ship. He's running to a super team and this, that, and the third. And everybody's been rooting for LeBron. And there's just something, that there's something unifying about the whole fact of like everybody counting you out. Like they're favorites in terms of Vegas, but in terms of like the court of public opinion, a lot of people are rooting against them. I think they're embracing that, and they're just coming out with that nasty mentality that kind of adversity produces.
Like it's weird. I would never have thought of this 2 years ago. If you said like, no, the Warriors are the villains, I'd be like,
yeah, right.
what? Like I don't like that. That's weird to think that 2 years from like if you were thinking of that when they first won the title.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, I mean, just the thing about it is like, and then again, one thing I noticed, not to spend too far from the conversation, but like we've seen LeBron in situations before where he's, faced adversity during a playoff series, and I don't see that same anger from him. And I don't want to take the body language too much. I mean, even Tyronn Lue speaking at press conferences hasn't necessarily seemed angry. Like it's a really lighthearted Cavaliers camp over these first two games, and it just feels like to me like they know they're outgunned. You don't see that type of body language unless you already come in kind of knowing like, we're outgunned. It feels like, we're outgunned. We're just going to give it our best shot. I really don't feel like this Cavaliers team as a whole really honestly believes, and no one wants to say that because it's a LeBron James led team, but I just haven't liked the body language and the lack of emotions coming out of the Cavaliers camp either.
I mean, if we go back to the series versus Boston when he was in Miami, I feel like his body language was almost the same. Going into Boston Garden, down 3-2, and me myself, I remember tweeting this a couple years ago. LeBron James has a 0% chance of tying this series and bringing it back to Miami for Game 7, and he just walked in there calm, cool, and collective and dropped 45 and 15. So it's like, it could be all right, we're keeping it lighthearted because we're confident, we're the champs, we're going home. I mean, I could kind of see that kind of body language playing both sides of the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanna ask you guys this. So as we head into Game 3, I feel like obviously there were some calls that went Golden State's way when they were in Oakland, but I mean, there's nothing to really harp on. That's typical for sports. When you're at home, you're going to get those calls. For some reason, I feel foul trouble coming for somebody on Golden State. I feel it coming. I feel obviously Draymond dealt with it. I think in Game 2 he had, it might have been Game 1 as well, but I feel foul trouble coming for somebody, and that somebody to me is going to be Draymond. And in Game 2, in the first half, when he experienced that foul trouble, Cleveland started to make a little bit of a run when he went to the bench. Now, if he gets in foul trouble tonight, do you think that's the window of opportunity for Cleveland to kind of blow this thing open?
Oh, it's kind of tough. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure because he got in foul trouble in Game 1, and it's like, yes, he's their backbone and he gives them that energy, but you almost feel like they gave that kind of production, from a collection of the team. It was more of a production by a unit, whereas as opposed to being by Draymond. So I feel like even if he gets in foul trouble, it may not be that big of a difference because you have such elite scoring on the team. But that remains to be seen. I also think, as you mentioned, I think KD is also a suspect for foul trouble. I mean, look at how LeBron has started off both games 1 and 2, driving to the basket basically on every possession. And KD and Draymond are the ones down low contesting the shots. I think half of those calls goes Cleveland's way, and either Draymond or KD could be in foul trouble.
I think that in terms of foul trouble, I mean, we saw Draymond Green again, like you guys said, in foul trouble in games 1 and 2. But what I will say is this: I mean, if you just listen to the substitutions when they make subs on TV and close your eyes, like they do such a great job of rotations. Like Draymond got in foul trouble in game 2, and I'm sitting there eating. It's like, all right, well, Draymond's in foul trouble. Here comes Kevin Durant off the bench. These guys are just so deep. And Andre Iguodala is giving you solid minutes, and Sean Livingston is giving you solid minutes. It's like, I mean, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but at the same time, when it's the second quarter and you have the luxury of resting KD already, because even Klay Thompson is finding his stroke, so you rest KD early. Draymond gets a foul trouble, like, okay, wow, we got to take out Draymond. Here comes KD. Ian Clark is coming in and hitting shots. We know Patrick McCaw can play well as well. This team is too deep. And then who are the Cavs pulling off the bench? When LeBron sits down, Richard Jefferson's fossil gets up and tries to play in the game. And I just, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And, to me, like, foul trouble is one thing, but it would have to be a whole team collective of getting in foul trouble, to me, to really make an impact, because their reserves are completely outclassed. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's funny they used to talk about the reserves, being like this good. When like the season first started, we thought that was going to be their Achilles heel was the bench, and we were like, and now we're just talking about why that doesn't matter, and like they're so deep now. They're so deep, because I've always said, like, this bench is pretty serviceable, and when this offense gets running, it really doesn't matter. And we saw, like, in game 1, Draymond was getting in foul trouble early, but it's the guys off the bench like Iguodala and Livingston and David West, even a guy who he can't really play the fast up tempo game, but if JaVale McGee is in there too, they're playing the pick and pop with him, and not pick and pop, but he rolls to the basket and see if they could get a lob to him. But I think it really doesn't matter unless Cleveland takes advantage of it, which they need to do anyway. I think if they take advantage of Draymond being out, they can make it a problem for the Warriors. They kind of have to expose what they're lacking on defense when he's not in there. So as long as the Cavaliers don't take advantage of it, it's not going to be a problem for the Warriors.
I don't think I've ever seen a better constructed team of strictly just ball handlers and shooters. That it almost doesn't matter. Like, you bring in Pat McCaw and you bring in Ian Clark, and they're driving to the basket. The shot making of Steph and Klay and KD is so crazy that you have to stay home. It's like the lanes are wide open, and if you collapse, there's an elite shooter on the wing. So it's like, no matter what you do, just pick your poison. Either give up layups or threes, nothing in the middle.
Yeah, I just have a hard time just picturing the Cavs just really getting back in this thing, man. I think they underestimated re-signing Delly. I think they missed Delly a little bit. You can't tell me he won't be playing better than Darren Williams. I mean, at least he'd be competing, working hard defensively, trying to make things a little bit tougher for Steph and Klay. I mean, Darren Williams is out there giving the Cavs nada. And I mean, I respect the way that Cleveland reworked their roster with the little cap flexibility that they had. They picked up some nice names off the waiver wire and traded for Korver, and they tried to pick up Bogut before we saw his demise to injury. But it's just something about getting older, man. And Kyle Korver's a great shooter and, solid player, all-star before, but it's just you need beasts to hang with these Warriors, and Kyle Korver's not cutting it. I mean, Kyle Korver guarding Klay Thompson, man, it's not cutting it. J.R. Smith looking like he needs a mat defensively is not cutting it. They need guys that are sharp-minded basketball players defensively. They need guys that can score the ball. And we know Kyrie Irving can do that. He's yet to this series. We'll see what happens tonight. But LeBron needs somebody else to be scoring that basketball. And I was talking to my coworker today. I've never seen LeBron with that look on his face that he had in game 2. He looks spent. I've never seen LeBron look like that before. It's very, very rare for LeBron to show signs of fatigue. And when you have to score 30 points, rebound 10 times, and throw 10 dimes, and guard Kevin Durant, you're going to be exhausted. He's exerting every ounce of energy he's got. And that's where Kyrie's lack of brilliance bothers me, because if he's not scoring, we haven't noticed him. He hasn't been facilitating and running the offense and taking, a load off of LeBron even to some capacity. He's been non-existent. And for some guy that is supposedly the best point guard in the East, or a top 5 point guard, or the second best player in the East, I mean, come on, man, that can't be happening. I'm really disappointed with Kyrie's performance right now, and I hope he shuts me up tonight, because if not, I'm gonna be talking about my man John Wall all day long.
All right, before we let you get carried away with that, I do at least want to say this. A lot of people, want to blame everybody else, but let's discuss about why the Cavs have to continuously sign players at veteran minimum. Who are the 2 guys who LeBron insisted get paid over this past summer? He had to get his boy Tristan Thompson paid, and he had to get his boy J.R. Smith paid. And what have they given us thus far? So some of this, at the end of the day, even though he's playing brilliant, has to go back to LeBron. J.R.'s making about double what he's worth, in my opinion, and Tristan Thompson is making more than what he's worth. And they're not even giving you what they, what they're supposed to get at face value. So LeBron, the GM, is going to have to reevaluate some of the decisions that he's made, because LeBron, the player, is great. But LeBron, the GM, he's got to own up to some of that, because he forces the Cavaliers to make these moves and to give his guys their money, and they're not producing, they're up to snuff.
I do like that point. I mean, Tristan's getting paid big bucks. JR is getting paid big bucks. I just think, I think tonight, I think Tristan shows up tonight. I think he has a Tristan Thompson game. I don't expect him to play a lot of minutes, but I think that he's going to make more of an impact than what we've seen thus far when he is out there. Like JaVale McGee has played, 5? He's played 10 minutes in between the first 2 games, probably like 10 to 12 minutes. But in those 12 minutes, we noticed his impact. We saw, what JaVale McGee brings to the table.
Absolutely.
So I think Tristan Thompson is going to have a similar impact tonight. I think in a limited role, he's going to have a very impactful game for Cleveland, and I think he's going to be one of the guys that brings the energy. Cleveland needs somebody besides LeBron to be the energizer. LeBron can't be the energizer tonight. They need somebody else that LeBron can defer to in the energy department. They need somebody that's coming out hyped, but not overly hyped to where you make mistakes, hype enough to where they're ready to rock, but they're locked in and laser focused. And we know what LeBron's going to do. You put that to a company with LeBron, and we're used to seeing that from Kyrie. You put that to a company with LeBron, and you're talking about a team that can climb back in this series with a win tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I'm sorry, Kyle. Go ahead.
No, I would say BJ's right. I mean, no, but what were you gonna say? I was gonna let you go.
Oh yeah, no. So what I'm saying is that one thing about LeBron needing somebody else to be an energizer is that the underrated part of the series is that Klay Thompson has Kyrie locked up in some sort of space prison somewhere where he can't get out of. That's really the thing about it. Kyrie, he's a really heavy ISO player, but a lot of his possessions have been ended in difficult shots or turnovers. So I think it's going to take Kyrie getting loose from whatever spell Klay Thompson's got him locked under in order to really get it going.
Definitely hear you. I mean, it would also be nice, So LeBron, the GM, as you were saying, a couple minutes ago, what was he asking for this entire season? Ball
help,
handler, right?
Yeah,
help, ball handler. Let's count. Let's count the Cavs ball handlers. Kyrie,
1.
LeBron,
2.
Darren Williams,
3.
Yeah.
Let's count the Warriors ball handlers. Steph Curry,
1.
KD,
2.
Draymond,
3.
Iguodala,
4.
Pat McCaw,
5.
Ian Clark.
6.
Ball game.
Could you count Klay too?
Let's count Klay. Let's throw Klay in there. I personally don't consider Klay like a ball handler in terms of bringing the ball up, but let's throw him in there.
No, he can.
Yeah, let's throw him in there. So you got
he'd be the number 2 option on or number 3 option on like a lot of teams as far as bringing the ball up.
Easily. So you got 7 versus 3. It's like, as I said, you know, that collection of ball handling and shooting is ridiculous.
It's the shooting part too, because that doesn't work if you can't shoot. Like
Correct.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm afraid.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
The Sixers,
that's why their spacing is so awesome.
Yeah, there's
That's what
also
I'm afraid with the Sixers.
yeah,
Like with Simmons, like so you got to like figure out if we pick a guard that a shot comes eventually from either one of them two or someone else we sign.
Yep.
yeah. There's also a defensive discrepancy. Like I like you guys counting the ball handlers and shooters. If you do a defensive count of defensive players on each team, the Cavs have just as little defensive players as they do ball handlers. They're all old, slow-footed guys. You know, so that's an issue.
I mean, who would you count on defense for the Cavs? LeBron, Shump, and maybe Tristan.
Yeah, Shumpert maybe. You know, I think his defense has seen better days. That's what I'm saying. So, like, all this help that LeBron has gotten, it hasn't really helped in the ball handling department. You know, he's gotten a lot of shooters. Channing Frye is a shooter. Kyle Korver is a shooter. But they haven't added any defensive talent whatsoever.
All right, y'all. I got 2 questions real quick before we wrap up and get prepared for Game 3. So, Cleveland loses this series. New York calls Cleveland and says Carmelo for Kevin Love.
Oh man.
A. Who says no? B. If Cleveland were to get Carmelo Anthony, would they fare better against these Warriors?
No, I think we're all gonna say no.
Yeah, I wouldn't say better. I would say the same, because Carmelo is essentially giving you everything Kevin Love is giving you, right? Yeah. Except I think Carmelo is a slightly better low post player. So maybe he could give you a different dimension down there. But just from a team dynamic, I'm not sure that it does much. Just from a skill set perspective, it's like, what else? What more would he do?
How would K Love and Porzingis work together?
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting too. You know, I think, you know, the Knicks would try and figure that out. But, you know, if I'm the Cavaliers or any GM, I'm looking at it from a team perspective. When you add Melo to your team, when you're adding a player, you're adding not only their skill set, you're adding their mentality. Melo is a ball stopper, and he's been an alpha for his entire career. Kevin Love came to the Cavaliers, and he took a step back. And when you bring somebody in, even if they're let's say Melo had a complete change of mentality, and he's like, look, I'm ready to come in, and, you know, and I'm okay with not being the first option. You still have to learn how to do that. You can't just do that overnight. Chris Bosh had to make that adjustment when he came to Miami. Kevin Love had to make that adjustment when he left Minnesota. So Carmelo would not only have to change his mentality, which I don't think is happening, he would have to learn how to adjust to, you know, not being that alpha, not being that ball stopper.
I also think it depends on the role too, right? Because I mean, some people like it, some people don't. But let's take a look at Team USA, for example, right? Melo wasn't the primary ball handler; he was the catch and shoot guy. So I think if there was enough talent to where Melo was the third or fourth option, where he could say, "All right, you give it to me, and I'll just score," then it's different than being like, "All right, Melo, you're really our second option, and we need you to score." Right? Because at that point, he's getting the ball and he's trying to make a move, as opposed to kind of just fitting in the system and picking spots.
Yeah, I'm indifferent about it. I don't know if I would do it. I mean, like, from the standpoint they're improving, but I mean,
you need something else.
I would think, you need what LeBron wants, which is a ball handler.
Yeah.
If you're gonna get that, I guess, with Carmelo, meaning you'll have 4 ball handlers, but I don't know. I don't know if that's really what the Cavs need to.
You can do it.
See how the series ends too.
Yeah, you can do it, but that move alone doesn't put you over the top. You need.
Regardless, you're not good enough to beat the Warriors still at all.
Nah.
Mm-mm.
All right, you guys, close to wrapping up this episode. I want to ask you guys, Game 3, are the Cavs really going to go down 3-0? Or does King James climb back into this thing when we go into Friday's Game 4, 2-1?
Hell no, they ain't going down 3-0, man. You think I put this jersey on for nothing? You think I took this risk for nothing? Nah, I don't know, man. Like, this can go either way. As you said, I think the Warriors are definitely gonna come out and weather the storm. But I've doubted LeBron too many times in my career, and he's proved me wrong every time. So I'm not going to jump and say he's going down 3-0. I'll at least give him the respect of saying they'll grab this one.
Man, I'm not in the respect business. I'm in the what my eyes see business. And the Cavs, they're going to get swept. It's not LeBron's fault. He's played incredible, but the bench just isn't there. So I don't want to hear about home court and this might happen and that might happen. The problem is when that second unit goes on, they're going to get juiced and they don't have enough. And the Warriors are just so far and away the better team. This is part 3 of a 4-part series right here.
Mm-hmm. All right. I mean, I'm thinking Warriors win by 9. That's my prediction. Dude, this is just a different animal of a basketball team than like we've ever seen. I just don't know if the Cavs have it right now, unless, like I said, we see that team that just literally is lights out from beyond the arc to keep it close. I'd see the Warriors winning.
I definitely agree. I mean, a different animal isn't even as descriptive as I would like it to be. But this may be the greatest team that in my lifetime that I have ever seen. I mean, this level of offensive and defensive efficiency. Yeah. Oh, man.
So, I don't know. After much deliberation, I want to believe Cleveland wins it, but I don't know, man. This team is just too damn good.
Think with your brain, BJ. Use your brain, not your heart.
This team is just too damn good, man. Like I said, I think this is the closest game of the series. I think if it comes down to crunch time, I trust Cleveland's crunch time offense maybe a little more. That 1-3 pick and roll with LeBron and Kyrie has just proved to be so efficient and deadly. I mean, not yet in this series, but it's history if you go through history. But I'm going to take the Dubs. I think we head midway to the fourth quarter. It's a close game, and then I think just some big shot making from KD and Steph, some key stops from Iggy and Draymond, and is enough to pull it away. And they go up 3-0 and look to complete the sweep on Friday in Game 4. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we just get a good basketball game, man. The season is going to end within these next few weeks, and we haven't been treated. We've been told all year long, just wait for the finals, and we've yet to get the fireworks in terms of a close game and suspense that we've anticipated. So hopefully we're given that tonight, at least one game in this series, man. I'm praying. I am praying.
Series doesn't start until a road team wins one. Cleveland, this is for you.
On that note, we're going to wrap up. We thank you guys for being with us for the Game 3 preview. We should be back on Friday before Game 4 with another live hangout. For Kyle, for Justin, and for Felix, this is BJ from Basketball Society. We appreciate you guys as always. Enjoy Game 3. And holla at us on Twitter. We'll be tweeting all game long, all night long. Highlights, clips. All of our videos, by the way, are via Clip It TV. Make sure you go download that app. Look through it. All your favorite TV shows will be on there. You can grab clips, grab highlights, do whatever the heck you want. So enjoy the game. Holla. Peace.
Peace.